Hey guys, it's Marcus here from TalkSober.com, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about the difference between alcohol abuse and being an alcoholic. And I'm going to talk to you about my personal story and show you what the difference is between someone who just drinks, like a problem drinker, or someone who abuses alcohol, and a full-on alcoholic. Now first, I'd like to disclaimer this video by saying I'm not a doctor, and the advice that I give you should never be mistaken for medical advice. Always consult your medical practitioner or person when you're doing any medical stuff or detoxing from alcohol, or if you think you have a problem, you should always get the help you need. This video is intended to help you understand the difference between are you someone who just abuses alcohol once in a while, or are you an alcoholic who needs help? And we're going to talk to you about the difference, and I'm going to talk to you about my journey. Because you see, I wasn't the typical drinker like this guy here, which is what I thought an alcoholic was at the time. I was able to hold down a job. I was able to look pretty good on the outside. Not that guy, I just enjoyed my drink every day, and the amount that I consumed was quite a bit. So one of the things you want to watch out for is the amount as well. Now from the outside I looked okay, although I had a lot of personal issues and some issues where I had been getting hurt while drinking, and issues of unable to stop drinking and different things like that. So what I did is I sought out some help. I said, okay, what's the deal? What's going on? How can I get help? And at first I thought it was a therapy issue. I said, well, you know, if I could talk to a therapist and get to the bottom of the things that plagued little Marky as a child, then maybe I wouldn't drink so much, or I wouldn't feel the need to do it. I thought it was mainly a therapeutic problem. I was running from something, or something was wrong with me, or maybe it was something that had some letters to it that they could diagnose, or whatever it was. And I sought out many different therapists, all of whom told me, oh, well, you know, you misuse alcohol, or you have a little problem, but you're not an alcoholic. You don't need to get help as if you were an alcoholic. I even went and found hypnotherapists that would sit there and say, oh, well, let's get to the bottom of all the things. Let's hypnotize you to hate alcohol. Or I went to the regular counselors who said, oh, well, you know, here's what you need to do. But no one ever said, hey, Marcus, you are an alcoholic and you need help. And that is why I am creating this video for you, is to get past all the myths. Because if these people hadn't told me that it was okay, or that I didn't have a problem, I probably wouldn't have had to gone through all the things that I went through, which was trouble with my job, trouble with finances, blowing close to $100,000 on various things, trying to get better, going crazy, having a 5150 suicide attempt, being taken by the cops, and all kinds of things like that that probably could have been avoided had someone explained to me what an alcoholic is and what was going on. Because my main thing was, what is wrong with me? I had this question in my mind saying, what is wrong with me? There's something wrong. I can't quit. I can't stop. And to tell an alcoholic that he's just a problem drinker is pretty much like handing him another drink, which is what he wants anyway. So he's waiting for those magic words to say, oh, nah, you just got a problem. Because the insanity of every drinker is the desire to want to drink again. We always think, oh, well, maybe one day I'll be able to have it, or maybe I could just have one, or maybe I could just have two, or maybe I could just drink on the weekends, or maybe just on the weekdays, or maybe not at work, or whatever it is. And it's the insanity that's going along with everything, which is what leads us to the alcoholic insanity. So let's talk about the difference between the two types here, which is our alcoholic and our problem drinker. We'll see if we can find this here guy. All right, our problem drinker's German here, and our alcoholic looks kind of like Homer Simpson. All right, so let's talk about the difference here, and let's talk about the major issues. Number one, no matter what you hear, no matter what you believe, no matter what people tell you, the main difference between an alcoholic and anyone else is the ability to stop drinking. Okay, so if you're watching this video, whether it's for you or a loved one, you got to ask yourself, can I stop? has this taken over so much that I can't stop and my body now thinks it needs it, right? That is what chemical dependency is about. Whether you say it's something in the alcohol that makes it that way, whether you say, like many scientists believe there's something in our genes or in our makeup or in our brain that makes us alcoholics, no matter what you believe, the question is, can you stop drinking? And for me, this was a very, very difficult question because, you know, I looked good on the outside, and when it came time to try to stop, I was like two people. There was this one person who could make it a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or whatever without drinking, and there's this other person who had to have it, and I felt like they were always at war with each other. And after I was able to string together a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was at that time, I found myself going back again. And it was almost like I was on autopilot, like there was something in me saying, okay, you have to have it, right? So that was the number one telltale sign is, hey, you know what? I can't stop on my own. And no matter what else happens, a lot of people will say, well, the difference between an alcoholic and a regular drinker or a problem drinker or whatever is that they might have legal problems, they might have financial problems, they might, have incarcerations or be trapped or whatever it is, they might have various different health problems and different stuff like that. Now, all these things can happen to either or, right? These things can happen if you're just, someone who drinks and happens to be a derelict or gets in trouble a lot or whatever it is, or they can happen to an alcoholic who is getting in these trouble because of the alcoholism. And what I want you to do is I want you to really look at this because oftentimes your alcoholism could be masquerading as a sheep or a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? You might look okay on the outside, and people, just like with me, might say, oh, well, you don't have a problem. You're just fine. But inside, I had that wolf that was like, okay, you know what? I gotta drink, I gotta drink, I gotta drink. Now, here is the main thing, and I want to bring this up with a story that I heard. And it's a story that's often used in the description of an alcoholic, and it's the story of rats. Right? They did some tests on rats a while back where they took rats or mice or whatever you like to call them, and they gave them a bunch of food, and then they gave them a button that they could push. Okay, so we'll make a little button here. This is the button that they could push, and they said, okay, well, here's food, here's water, and here's the button. Now, when the rat pushed the button, it distributed morphine on a drip or something like that. And what they noticed is that over time, the rat would completely neglect food, water, fellowship with other rats. It would neglect everything in its life just to push the button, just to get the morphine drip. And this is what is known as chemical dependency. You are so dependent on a chemical that your body believes and your mind believes that it now needs it to survive. And to me, this is the biggest definition of an alcoholic. Are you dependent on the chemical? Can you stop using or drinking the chemical? And who is in control here? Who's in control? Because, like I said, when I was drinking, it was as if the chemical controlled my every action. I would go and order drinks, even when I didn't plan to. I had planned on being a good little boy and doing things the right way. And I swore to myself, hey, this is going to be the last time, or I'm only going to have 3, or whatever it is. But it was as if my mind, my body, and my whole makeup was being controlled by this drink. So what you want to ask yourself is not, what's the difference between an alcoholic, alcohol abuse, or whatever? You want to ask yourself, who is controlling you? Who or what is controlling you? Is it the drink controlling you? Or who is driving the ship? Because if someone else is driving the ship and you can't seem to stop, and everything in your mind is hijacked and hardwired to think that you need this alcohol to survive, chances are you are an alcoholic. And it doesn't matter how many skeletons are in your closet or what happened to you when you were a kid, or is there coexisting conditions? Because my guess is, if you're like me, this alcoholism is causing a lot of the problems that you think are caused by outside sources. And we're going to talk about how that works in other videos, which is why you want to subscribe to my channel here at talksober.com and visit my website, because you're going to learn all this. So my question to you is, let's put aside the whole alcoholism, alcoholic, problem drinker, and everything like that, and let's ask you a question. And I'm going to ask you a point-blank question, the question that I wish someone would have asked me 3 years ago. And the question is, do you feel like you're drowning in this problem? Do you feel like you need help? Do you feel like, hey, you know what, sometimes I feel good. It's like the I feel good today, therefore I'm doing okay. But then a week from then, you're back where you were, right? Don't let those emotions control what you believe, because chances are you're going to end up in the trap again, and you're going to be driven automatically back to the drink. So what I want you to ask yourself is, do you feel like you're drowning? Do you feel like you can do it alone? And do you need help? If you need help, what I want you to do is go to talksober.com/help. I have some videos, I have some tools to help you get through this issue. I have some tools to help you get and stay sober, no matter what the consequences are, no matter how bad you've gotten or how deep you've gotten or how bad your life might seem. There is hope on the other side. If you would have told me 3 years ago, when I was being handcuffed and taken away with a suicide attempt, that today I'd be living a sober life and feeling okay and living every day without alcohol, I would have thought you were crazy, because I saw no way out. Everything was piling up, and no matter what I tried, I couldn't stop. So if you need help, go to talksober.com/help. My goal in this video is to help you understand what makes an alcoholic and what all the other things fall under. Because plain and simple, if you can't stop and you can't stay stopped, then you're probably an alcoholic. And I don't want you to get hung up on the idea that alcoholics have no job and they sit in the gutter. Because here I was, I had made over $5 million in my career, and I had a house and had a family, and everything looked good on the outside. I wasn't your typical in the street kind of guy. And the fact of the matter is this affects anyone. Broke people, multimillionaires, happy people, sad people. It is not partial to one group. And if you think you're an alcoholic, you need to get help. Go to talksober.com/help. Check out my next video, and we will help you get and stay sober once and for all. Thanks again for watching. I'm Marcus from talksober.com.